Undercover video claims abuse at a Nebraska hog farm. We investigate.
I want you to put that around the handle.
Plus, rescue crews gather for training that could save your life. And Governor Pete Ricketts plans a trip to China. Find out why Central Nebraska cattlemen support an Asian trade deal. And we'll talk about volatility in the markets with our analyst. Grow is agriculture now. A major hog farmer with operations here in central Nebraska promises swift action. This after an animal rights group releases undercover video showing allegations of abuse. That's our top story. We warn you, some viewers may find the video unsettling. Pigs squeal, an undercover video claiming abuse by the Mash-Offs, one of the top names in pig farming.
Failing to provide adequate food and veterinary care to the pigs, specifically by allowing several pigs to suffer with medical ailments, far beyond the time when they should have been euthanized.
The Mash-Offs have facilities across the state, but declined to identify where this may have happened. The Illinois-based company is among 50,000 pork producers who have agreed to what the industry calls the highest standards,
stating that they have both a moral and ethical obligation to protect and promote animal well-being for the animals that are within their care.
Video appears to show employees smashing piglets against the floor and unsuccessful attempts to euthanize sick animals. Veterinarians working with the National Pork Board are not specifically commenting on this case, but say that is not the industry standard.
Recognizing animals that are beyond being treated to be brought back to health, those animals need to be humanely euthanized quickly.
The Pork Board says consumers should have confidence their ham and bacon is raised with care, and they don't put up with abuse.
Unfortunately, there are times when we have instances where we see things that need to be fixed. And when we see that, our producers move quickly to fix those things.
In a statement, the Mash-Off said they have zero tolerance for abuse or mistreatment, and this is no exception. The Animal Legal Defense Fund released the video with animals that appear to have large wounds and other problems. The group says it's a pattern of abuse, and they want the Attorney General to act.
We believe there's ample reason to investigate, frankly, all the Mash-Offs facilities.
Injuries and illnesses in meatpacking plants are on the decline. A new report says injuries are down from close to 10 cases for every 100 full-time workers in 2004 to 6 cases per 100 in 2013. During that same period of time, 151 workers were fatally injured. The Government Accountability Office says more data is needed to get the full picture, saying workers are underreporting their injuries, and it could be out of fear of losing their jobs or because of language barriers. 2 workers injured in grain bin accidents in the last 2 months. Now federal investigators call for change. OSHA urges employers to review their safety plans, saying it's imperative anyone working in the grain industry is trained on handling hazards and has safety tools. The most common cause of death related to bins is suffocation. Officials describe moving grain as quicksand that can bury a worker in seconds. Last week, a 53-year-old was injured when working in a bin in West Point. A wall of corn product collapsed and engulfed him. In March, a 43-year-old CPI employee was fatally injured by an operating auger as he drew grain from the bin. Volunteer firefighters gather for training that could save your life if you're ever in a grain bin accident. NTV's Megan Johnson has our story.
I want you to put that around the handle.
Tips, tricks, and tools are passed back and forth across the top of the Kansas University Grain Engulfment Rescue Trainer.
Teaching them how to effectively rescue or, heaven forbid, recover someone from an engulfment or an entrapment in grain, be it in a silo or a hopper semi-type truck.
Inside the simulation bin, instructors bury a volunteer victim waist deep in corn, then teach teams of rescuers how to use a system of panels to make a wall around the person.
Imagine just a big tube that we build a little section at a time that goes all the way around the patient.
Firefighters then use drill-powered augers, scoop shovels, or other ways to pull the grain away without more collapsing in until finally the patient can move.
It's pretty close. You're right very near the victim. It's all pretty confined for sure.
Jeff Gravert volunteers with the Clarks Fire Department and says they had a call like this recently, so he knows that even grain up to a person's knees can be enough weight to trap them.
The fellow that we helped was all the way to his chin. And that's very dangerous, because then as you breathe, it pushes in and actually puts a lot of force on your body.
Rope and pulley systems make lowering rescuers, moving equipment, and finally pulling a victim out easier. And Global Industries, the grain bin maker hosting the fire school class, says they now build their products to help with that.
Safety has driven a lot of different changes in the industry. Firemen, rescuers, or if people are entering the bin, they can tie off to along with their attendant, and they can be safe getting into the bin.
Instructors say this is a hard scenario to practice for, but they hope this weekend hammers home at least the basics.
Limit the amount of access, don't send any rescuers that aren't competent at rescuing. Keep family, friends, and coworkers out of the bin also. 60% of would-be rescuers become victims themselves.
Students say the lessons are valuable.
We hope to never have to use it, but this will help if we are ever in that situation again.
And as many of us fire up the grill this holiday weekend, the state's cattle producers are working to send more exports of beef overseas. 12 countries have agreed to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now TPP has to be approved by Congress. Governor Pete Ricketts supports the deal, saying it will make Nebraska farm products more competitively priced, which is important as Australia has gained market share in Asia.
Right now, Japan has a 38% tariff on our beef products, and the TPP would take that down to 9%. And this helps us be more competitive with Australian beef. And I can tell you, having done my trade mission last year to Japan, they want our products, they want our beef. And so the more we can do to be competitive there, the more we can help create jobs here at home.
An analysis by Nebraska Farm Bureau says Custer, Dawson, and Lincoln counties stand to be among the biggest winners under TPP, with expected increases in sales of $10 million a year. Costco wants property south of Fremont to be rezoned for a chicken processing plant. The original site was between Nickerson and Fremont, but the Nickerson Village Board voted against the proposal last month. Opponents of the plant say they're concerned about the impact it would have on schools and housing. The Development Council in Fremont says the chicken processing plant would create more than 1,000 jobs. Grand Island looks to put its food and drink tax to work on the state fairgrounds. The ballot issue approved by voters calls for some of the money to be used to promote the fairgrounds. Several major livestock shows are booked this summer, including the Angus Junior Nationals, which will attract families who will eat out and contribute more through that tax.
The more successful that we are, the more food and beverage tax that can be collected. So if we can get some promotional dollars and really grow the number of shows, even maybe develop our own show, that'll bring more and more people to the community who will pay more and more tax.
The fair has formed a partnership called the Grand Island Livestock Complex Authority, GILCA, to work together and attract more agricultural events. We've heard the warnings on climate change, but the state climatologist says it's not all as doom and gloom as some say.
I haven't felt comfortable enough with the evidence presented at this point in time to basically say that the vast majority of warming that we're seeing is a reflection of changes in human behaviors. Some of the things that were quoted back in the 80s and the 90s as worst case scenarios would indicate that we should have been seeing some substantial responses to global climate change.
Still, with water as the top issue for the state and a key role in agriculture, farmers in the area are worried about drought.
1 out of 7 years you'll have a perfect year, but now it's like 1 every 10 years. It's getting worse all the time.
Some are using technology to conserve water. You can find the full special report on our website, nebraska.tv. Recent rain and spring runoff is causing high flows on the Platte River, but water managers say it's not all bad. Dwayne Woodward points at charts and gauge measurements as he reports high river flows to the Central Platte NRD board. Recent rain plus normal mountain snowmelt is keeping the river high. Woodward says it's a good sign of a full system and good water storage. Great news for area farmers if it stops raining.
The Platte River system itself can handle more than what's coming down right now as far as the the total flows and stuff. We're looking at it as an opportunity to divert water and recharge excess water in the canal systems that we work with there in Dawson County.
The Central Platte plans to keep using its canals for groundwater recharge until about June 1st. Then they'll get ready for normal operations and irrigation season. Later in the show, we'll have a look at the market outlook. Up next, Maryland looks at technology and the changing role it's playing in moisture monitoring.